Hi everyone, I'm your host Alisha, and thank you for joining us on VOD Talk. First of all, I would like to say that our deepest condolences are with the royal family during this difficult time, following the death of the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. However, on a more positive note, I would like to wish everyone that will be fasting this month a happy Ramadan. So, we are addressing a very important topic, and that is harassment, but more specifically, harassment against women. So, my first question that I would like to ask to our three wonderful guests who are three A level students, I would like to ask them what they think harassment means. So, Denzil, if you could tell us just how you would describe in your own words the definition of harassment.
Um, I think, well, in my opinion, I think I'd describe harassment as when someone's receiving like attention or things are being said to that person which they may not like, and it gets to a point
Yeah,
where it's repetitive. Do you get what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah,
it
I
just
understand.
and it makes a person feel uncomfortable, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. That's exactly what harassment can be in a lot of cases. How about you, Aimee? How would you say harassment comes across?
So I think harassment, especially sexual harassment, is negative, like hate and like coercive behavior towards an individual. It can be
Definitely.
female or male. Yeah.
Avni, do you have any thoughts about what else harassment could be or appear as?
I think it's pretty much what they said, but also something that's non-consensual, something that you do not want to happen to you. Like, it's not something you would wish on anybody as well, and it could be like physical, but also emotional.
Yeah, exactly. It's completely unwarranted and unwanted. How do you think harassment towards women can differ? Like, why is it specifically a huge problem at the moment rather than us hearing about harassment towards men?
I
I'd
feel
say
like
like
Sorry, Avni, you can begin and then Denzil, you can carry on.
with sexual harassment, especially towards women, is so common, and it's something that like women have to fear a lot and have to worry about a lot. And
Exactly.
I think it's like really like worrying that it's become so normal in society and so common.
Exactly, exactly. And Denzel, what do you think?
yeah, I was gonna, as Avni said, is something that is much more common towards women. Um,
Yeah,
yes, there still
definitely.
are cases towards men, but it is more towards women, and I think that it's like outrageous. I think that it shouldn't have to be happening, and it shouldn't be happening to anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely.
I also
So,
think that
yeah, yes,
um,
Aimee,
it's
please
like there's a
continue.
traditional thought that women are the weaker gender, I guess, and therefore like
Mhm.
that makes it more common for women to get sexually harassed than males.
Exactly. And have there's a really big news recently. Have you guys all heard of Sarah Everard and her murder? Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
why do you think there was such an outrage at this particular event? You know, compared to all the things that have happened in history, why did it cause such like protests at what happened to her to do with harassment towards women?
I think it's because she kind of did everything that you would do, like the precautions she took. She told people she was leaving. She told people like she was out, and
Yeah,
she
exactly.
was still targeted. And I think like it was really disgusting how um, she did all the precautions and she was still a victim to something so like tragic.
Exactly, exactly. And there's a huge focus on women having to take precautions, which a lot of people see as unfair and they see it as one-sided, that why are women to blame? And why is it up to them to protect themselves rather than the rest of society? Denzel, what do you think about that?
I think at the end of the day, we shouldn't have to have women go around with whistles or with like things to protect themselves, because we should
Yeah.
all be able to walk around freely. We shouldn't have the fear of going out one day and thinking, if I go down this road, is this going to happen? If I go down this road, is this going to happen? Like,
Mhm.
at the end of
Yeah.
the day, we should all be able to walk freely. I mean, that's the point of streets. You're supposed to walk on them. So, um, I think that people shouldn't be living in fear. People shouldn't have to walk and turn corners and be scared that something could happen to them, whether that's
Exactly.
because they're
Yeah.
a woman or whether they are a man either.
Yeah. And Aimee, what do you think? And how does it actually feel to be told all of this? As women ourselves, we are the ones that are vulnerable to this particular problem.
So the fact that most women have the idea that they have to go the longer way round just to get home safely is like, it's crazy to think about, because it's just, this has become so normalized in society, and no one no one's actually pointed it out. And in the case of Seva Everard, she it was a police officer that done that to her, and that's so crazy,
Yeah.
because they tell us that we're supposed to trust these people, and they're turning their backs on us without
Exactly.
us even knowing, you know.
It's
And yeah,
really, really horrible, and it incited a lot of fear in a lot of people. And another thing I want to mention is that, have you guys kind of heard of this movement online, or like a saying that's not all men?
yeah.
Have you heard of it? What do you think
Yeah,
of that?
I
Um,
think it's like very disgusting, and it's basically a protest to the movement of raising awareness for women. And obviously, we're not saying it was all men, but like I feel like these people have to pick out everything negative about a movement that shouldn't be negative. It's something that's a raising awareness for women, for like the safety of women.
Yeah, exactly. And it shouldn't be taken down that different route, being said that it's not all men. Like, that's really not the point. And it kind of um, relates to the other saying that was all lives matter. It's got the same idea behind it, which isn't right. So Aimee, what do you think about not all men? Why is it wrong? Tell us.
Yeah, I was about to say about All Lives Matter as well, but about not all men, is I agree with Avni. It is obviously not all men. However, not all girls that have experienced, or females have experienced sexual harassment,
Yeah,
have essentially like told people about it. So yes, we're not saying not all men, but we are saying that a large majority of men have definitely sexually harassed. But I'm
yeah.
not picking out and choosing anyone here. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah. And Denzil, can I ask you, not to target you as the only male, but
Yeah, it's fine.
why, I feel like you would have a good idea of why
Hmm.
men do feel attacked. So why do they feel blamed, and why do they feel the need to like stick up for themselves and say it's not all men?
I feel that sometimes I think because it's like, how do I explain it? I think that firstly, the whole men, like not all men. What was the saying again?
It
Not all
was,
men,
so
yeah.
it's not all men, and I think what they're
Yeah,
getting at is that it's not their problem because it wasn't
yeah.
them.
I feel like it's a protest to the women's protest, if you get what I mean. Like, I
Yeah,
feel like if you, by you saying that, you're not taking in what the other person is saying, like, it's almost as if you're being ignorant, because it's like, yes, people ask people to speak out, but when people speak out, how can you expect people to speak out if you're not listening? Do you get what I mean?
exactly,
Or if
exactly.
you're like, it's just something that you can't say because it's ignorant and it's like you're not listening. And you
Yeah.
can't tell people to speak out if you're not going to listen to them, right?
Exactly. It's just unfair. And that's another thing that is stressed about how we actually solve this. To end this, women need to be listened to, they need to be taken seriously. And this whole topic and issue needs to be taken seriously always, because nothing will change if everyone has a unserious attitude and they just neglect to listen. So this is another very important thing. But how do we end harassment? How can we begin like our journey towards stopping it? Whoever would like to
Um,
speak first, Avni?
yeah, I think the most like obviously harassment is really really difficult to end, but I think the most important thing is education, like
Yeah,
teaching your sons that it shouldn't, not teaching your daughters to cover up, not teaching your daughters to, you know, stay away from certain men. It's teaching your sons, teaching your like sons to not, you know, harass, not to
yeah,
take advantage of women. I think education is always going to be like the most key thing to ending something like this. I also think
Definitely.
like there should be accountability. I think relating back to the not all men thing, certain men can't take accountability, and I think that's where like a huge issue lies, because they fear taking responsibility for something that is very serious and can like change your life literally.
Yeah, exactly. And Aimee, what do you have anything to add on to that? What
No,
Avni
I
said?
totally agree. I totally agree with what Avni said, and and the fact that it's just most women think it's normal. Oh yeah, I was touched on the bus. I was touched on public transport, and they don't tell anyone about it. And this continuously happens. So that man could have touched you on the bus, and that man could have touched 15 other girls on the bus on the same day, and no one has said anything.
Exactly.
So that man will keep going and just ruining everyone's like mentality, you know.
That is very well said, Aimee. And that's also a really good example of harassment, because there are people who may not know exactly like how harassment happens or what it is, whether it's really little or whether it's really big. It's all the same, of the same importance and seriousness.
Yeah, it
So
takes different forms.
exactly. So could we have maybe some examples of what this could be, just to help share some awareness about how harassment can be?
Well, of
Uh,
course, it could be physical or verbal. Like there's
Yeah,
different, it can happen in lots of
definitely.
different ways. Um,
Yeah.
it could be whether someone actually comes and touches you, or whether people just like yell out insults or just say things which aren't very nice or make you
yeah,
feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
I think like a common one is catcalling. Like, that's
Yeah,
very,
Yeah,
very common.
definitely. And a lot of
And
people, sorry, Avni, I was just going to say that some people don't even see that as harassment. Like,
yeah,
they won't
exactly.
take it seriously. But what was you, sorry for interrupting,
No,
what
that
was
was
you
what I
going to
was
say?
gonna say. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not really seen as something serious, even because it's so common. But like, it can actually be very damaging when you get it like a lot, or even once. It can be
that's
like
true.
uncomfortable.
But even the way someone looks at you, like if they look at you in the way that they want to undress you, that makes you feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it
At the
is
same
very
time,
horrible.
it might be even worse than someone catcalling you because they look like they are going to do something to you, you know?
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
very scary as well to, for us women, for us girls, it's really, really scary to see that or have that done to you. So, um, yeah, but also, what else could be done to, do you have any like tips maybe to just to tell people, how do we like create awareness, how do we um how do we get people to take this more seriously, and what could be done against harassment?
I feel like firstly, harassment is a very touchy subject. So I think
Yeah,
people should be more aware of what they say about the topic. I think sometimes people are quite quick to say certain things, especially to people who have been victims of harassment. I feel like you should just think about what you're about to say before you say it to the
yeah,
person, because of course it's very traumatic. So the person might not want to discuss it, or what you say could be something that offends them, and what you're saying could not be like could literally be out of order. So I think that try to educate yourself, try to, if harassment is something that you don't know much about, go and do research on it, because it is something that happens to a lot of people. And
yeah, exactly.
is something that probably like your mum, your sister, your auntie, someone would in your family has been through before. So I feel like you should defo, if you don't, if you haven't educated yourself on it or been taught it in school, that you should definitely go and do some research on it.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Education is the key and is the most important thing, because if there's no awareness, there will be no change, which is what we're doing here on this podcast at Youth Fluent. And also, I know this is a bit, not to make this a personal question, but just to see, out of us four, does anyone know someone who's experienced harassment or themselves experienced harassment? Just let's just raise our hands just to show why this is so serious. Exactly. So all of us here, at least one case of harassment, we know about it. It's happened to us. So that's why it is so important for us to change this idea that society has about harassment and make people aware of the scale of it. And another big statistic that I heard online recently was the 97% statistic. I'm sure you guys have all heard of it. So for those of you that don't know, 97%, sorry, of all women have been harassed, and that's our sisters, our mothers, aunties, any girl that you love and care about or know. That statistic is 97%. And this came on the internet, and a lot of people were again objecting to it, especially a lot of men. This is kind of where the not all men idea or protest came from, because some people just didn't like to hear that statistic, especially men. So what did you guys hear about that or see online after the 97% statistic came out? Avni or
I
Aimee?
think like the 97% statistic mainly shocked men, and it wasn't something that a lot of women were taken aback by, because like that's how common it is, and that's
Yeah,
how
exactly.
like that's how much I know that this has happened to people. This is like not something that I was shocked by, which is really
Yeah,
sad.
it
But
is
yeah,
actually. Yeah. Denzel, what did you see around that 97%
Um,
posting?
I feel like when I saw it, I was like, I thought it was quite crazy that the percentage was that high, of course, because as you said before, it's something which is much more um, less common in men. So it was something that I was quite taken aback by. But then when I thought about it, I thought that it kind of actually does make sense, because I mean, when I look at the friends that I have, the female friends that I have, some of them have been through things like this. So
Yeah,
I think it was
exactly.
just crazy that so many people had been through stuff like that, and it shouldn't have to be like that.
No, it shouldn't have to be. And of course, we can all offer our support to our friends, but it can't change what happened to them.
Yeah,
So it is really sad, and it's actually difficult for everyone to deal with, even if it hasn't been you yourself that's affected. It's really hard to see and hear or listen to a friend that's gone through that. Aimee, what did you
Yeah,
see?
definitely it wasn't a shock at all, considering the amount of people like that have experienced sexual
Yeah,
harassment or any sort of like discomfort. But there was also this group on like social media. They were like they were denying it, I guess. They were saying that women shouldn't have been wearing those type of clothes or trying
yeah,
to seduce them in that way, because that's what made it happen, I guess.
yeah,
And that
exactly.
just that made me so angry, because how are they saying that whatever women like women can't wear these type of things because they will get sexually harassed. So
Yeah,
we are made to change because men can't control themselves.
exactly.
And it made me so confused and disgusted, to be honest.
Definitely. Comments like that are really disgusting. They're very uneducated as well, because those people are the people that are just part of that negative side of harassment. They're really not helping. You know, saying things like, it's the way she was dressed like this. It's just completely unfair, and it's not the reason why harassment was caused at all. And that's just the wrong way to deal with it, because it should be taken seriously again, you know. And does anyone have any last words or thoughts about, just in particular, like how we can move forward with harassment, and just to tell our audience, how do we think it can be prevented? Any last words or thoughts?
I
um,
think that definitely the like education part about teaching it in schools. I think that part is very important, because of course
Yeah,
when you're in school, like the first like years, that couple years that you're in school, is the years where um like you're taught most of the things that you remember for life. So I feel like that is definitely something that should be taught, so that
yeah,
it's more of a
100%.
natural thing, and it's not something which is just like taught out of the blue. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, that is a really good idea and point. Avni, what would you say?
I was gonna say we need to like get rid of that stigma around sexual harassment, because it makes people not want to talk about their situations, and I think we need to start being more comfortable with talking about like having calls like this and stuff, and talking more about these like situations and stuff like that, because it helps people to be more comfortable and open up and stuff and share their
Yeah,
experiences.
exactly. That is really important. Aimee, what would you say?
Definitely the education, the stigmatized one, but also there was it's the fact that I forgot.
Oh,
But just
that's okay. No, that's okay. Would you want to say anything else, or is
it was just the fact that
if you can remember anything?
there's so many cases of Sarah, and only that one
Yeah.
has been brought up, which is
Oh, 100%.
which is so crazy. But yeah,
Yeah,
that was...
it's. I know there's also a like kind of a disappointment in because her case had a lot of attention compared to the thousands, even more than thousands, hundreds of thousands of women who have been harassed, murdered, or worse, but she got the most attention, I guess, and the most awareness, which in a way is good because we needed something to spark awareness and to encourage people to change. But at the same time, it is really unfair that a lot of women's cases have gone unheard. Denzil or Avni, do you have anything else to say about that? What do you think about Sarah's case being so massive compared to others?
Yeah, I feel like if those girls who have been through stuff and have been able to deal with that trauma, if they're ready to speak out, then I think that they should, just to raise more awareness,
Yeah,
and to show other girls that have been through similar things and who are too scared to speak up, or just talk about it in general, show them that there's people who have been through similar things to them and that they can be their comfort.
yeah, exactly. So as Avni said, is to erase the stigma. That's what we need to do so that women and girls can feel strong enough to open up and to be honest about what's happened to them. Avni, do you have any last words or thoughts?
No, I'm alright. He summed it up basically. What I
Okay,
was gonna say.
that's good. So thank you to our three wonderful guests for joining us here and for contributing. I've learnt a lot. I hope everyone's learnt as well today from this discussion. And please like, subscribe and comment and let us know if there's any other topics that you would like to hear from. Please share this to raise awareness on Youth Fluent at Vodcast. The platforms we have are Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and please join us again next episode. I hope to see you soon. That's goodbye for now from your host Alisha. Bye bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye guys.
Bye.